Hey guys, I'm Ben, this is Wrestling Life, and today I want to talk to you about why John Cena's time isn't up and why I believe John Cena's time to retire isn't now in 2025. Firstly, before I get to that, I want to thank everyone who sent me a lovely comment of encouragement about the recent video I shared about my experiences with bullying and some of the negative comments that have been sent my way recently on this channel. I really appreciate everyone that reached out and said something nice to me. One of the main sentiments that came through really was rise above hate, and how actually the one thing I shouldn't do is stop recording videos like this, but instead just focus on putting positivity out there, which is what this channel is all about. So I'm going to continue, and I hope you'll continue to journey with me. Now, for this video, I wanted to talk about John Cena's retirement tour, which of course has dominated WWE programming throughout 2025. It's been the primary focus of WWE TV, of PLEs, of WrestleMania. It's been the main merchandise mover for the company all year long. This huge loving for John Cena, this nostalgic last run for arguably WWE's biggest star, maybe even pro wrestling's biggest mainstream star of all time. And it's been really well deserved. But ever since it was first announced that at the end of 2025, John Cena would wrestle his last match, it's always felt a bit surreal, like something wasn't quite right, because the end of the year for WWE is typically quite a slow season. It's the run up to WrestleMania. So yeah, okay, we have Survivor Series, but December typically is that kind of dead month, really, the festive month, which has been the domain of B shows like TLC or Armageddon. So the idea of John Cena wrestling his last match in December feels so strange, and it has done all year. But all year long I think we've been maybe waiting for this payoff, this, oh okay, it's built into this particular crescendo in December. There's going to be some specific PLE announced, which is all a celebration of John Cena maybe, and then the company would find a way to bring back one of his major opponents from days gone by, someone like a Batista or an Adam Copeland. As we get closer and closer now, as I record this, there are 5 dates left on the John Cena retirement tour. It's announced that he's got AJ Styles coming up in Australia. He's just had a beatdown at the hands of Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza. And word on the street, or the rumour and innuendo, is that this is building towards a big payback, a big babyface overcoming the beast payoff in December at Saturday night's main event. John Cena getting his big win over Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar has been brought back specifically and booked like a monster, ready for John Cena to get that one big win. That may well be the case, and I have no doubt that come December and Saturday night's main event, that will be presented as John Cena's last ever match. Much like with Goldberg earlier this year, Saturday night's main event will be presented as the last match for John Cena. But genuinely, I would eat this hat. I would put some JR's barbecue sauce on this hat and eat it if that is ending up being John Cena's last match. I have no doubt that we're going to get a bigger, better send-off for John Cena in the future. So if I end up watching this video back in 2035 and John Cena genuinely retired from the ring in December 2025, then I'm going to have to try my very best to eat this hat. I can't believe for one second, and this is from 35 years of following wrestling and getting a good sense of how the business works, I can't believe that John Cena's last match ever won't take place at a WrestleMania. For anything less than WrestleMania, it wouldn't be fitting for the biggest star of all time, bar potentially only Hulk Hogan, to not get his send-off at the biggest show in the world. To see John Cena retire, not even in his hometown, which was the original plan, but to see John Cena retire in a Saturday night's main event setting just doesn't feel like the send-off that John Cena should get after all these years and everything he's brought to the business. Putting my booking hat on, and of course I have no insight into this, this is pure speculation on my part, I see one of two things happening. Either he makes a surprise entry into the 2026 Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, lead into his final match at WrestleMania in Vegas, or I think much more likely we genuinely get a long period without John Cena. It's presented as a complete retirement, and then something happens, potentially Royal Rumble 2027, and we get John Cena's final match at WrestleMania Saudi Arabia. I hope it's the former. I hope that we do get that final match whilst we're still in this retirement arc at WrestleMania 42. I believe that that's the way to do it. I think WWE, that gives them time to build towards that one final match and find the right opponent for John Cena to go out to. I would love to see if there was a way that they could either find a way to bring John Cena into the ring with someone like Adam Copeland, even if that's for a one-off, and that seems unlikely for now, but in wrestling you never say never. Or some scenario whereby he has one more match with The Rock, or that John Cena puts over a real big rising star, someone like a Braun Breaker, or a Seth Rollins. Final match between those two, because we know what magic those two made in the ring. I'd like to see John Cena get his last moment at WrestleMania. I think all of the fans would. I think that's what his story deserves. That's also where the money is. So I have no doubt that we are building towards one more match for John Cena down the line. It's just a question of how long we'll have to wait to see the inevitable return and the inevitable payoff. It's been interesting to kind of reflect back on this year of John Cena and kind of what everything that's happened, because obviously his own father has spoken out recently talking about how disappointing the heel turn was. Not so much the heel turn, but everything that happened afterwards, how The Rock walked away from the storyline, Travis Scott's involvement with the debacle at WrestleMania, and what that heel turn could have been. But I do wonder whether there was ever a possibility of really turning John Cena heel at this stage of his career. Nostalgia is such a powerful and beautiful thing. Did anyone ever really want to boo John Cena at this stage like they did back in 2012? I don't know whether it was actually possible to make it work, even if The Rock had been all in and even if circumstances had been different. But it never did really get out of the starting blocks. It never really worked beyond that incredible heel turn the night that everyone remembers. It never really had the impact. I think it should have been held off until WrestleMania. I think if you'd had that same moment play out at the end of the match at WrestleMania and John Cena won his historic 17th title through turning heel, that would have been a moment that would have lived on forever. As it was, it's a curious side note and a strange kind of tangent on this last year for John Cena. But I have enjoyed this retirement tour. I think it's been overly stretched, and I think it's dominated a bit too much of the television for me from what I've seen of the product. But it also has been a good send-off for someone who has been so instrumental in WWE's popularity over the last 20 years. I want to see, as I say, that one big final match happen at a WrestleMania, not at Saturday night's main event. I think, we saw what happened with Goldberg. We saw how dissatisfied he was with his send-off. At a PLE, WWE has a lot more control of the time-in and timing out of the segments and how it's presented. I do think that is ultimately where we'll get to. And the one thing we know in wrestling is retirements are never a fixed thing. Even Steve Austin came back after 19 years. Obviously, Ric Flair didn't retire after that wonderful match with Shawn Michaels. Even Shawn Michaels didn't fully retire. I know he's recently been on Chris Van Vliet's show and said that his last match really was the match in 2010. But his last match was 2018 in Saudi Arabia. Let's not ever... let's make no bones about that. That was his last match until the next one. Wrestlers very rarely retire. Will John Cena be one of those people that is actually able to retire, or is he too indelibly etched into this business and too interwoven into wrestling that he's able to fully occupy the older statesman role and fully walk away? Or will he every so often make an appearance and have one more match? Time will tell. All I know is John Cena has given a huge amount to this business. He deserves a lot of respect. I'm still taking a break from watching WWE programming. I will keep up to date with clips as I continue to do. I've been seeing what The Miz has been saying recently about how he feels he's deserving of one more match. I've been following all the narrative about what's happening with Brock Lesnar and where that might be leading to post-Survivor Series. So I will continue to provide insight on what's happening. But I'm not actively watching the product right now, as I say, just taking a bit of a break. But if this is the end of John Cena in December, then what an incredible run it's been. You know, what an amazing 23-year-long career, and what he's brought to the business has been astonishing. But for me, the only way to fully send off John Cena is a match at WrestleMania. And for me, the only question is whether it'll be 2026 in Las Vegas or 2027 in Saudi Arabia, the night when all the legends, no doubt, are going to be pulled out to make sense of that big money deal. So we will see. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. When do you think John Cena should retire? Who do you think his last opponent should be? What do you think of his retirement tour? Has it lived up to the mark? And is there any matches that you feel like have been left on the table that really should have happened in this last year for John Cena? Thanks for watching. Thanks everyone for your support. I've said this a few times. If you can support the channel by signing up to become a member, we've got new membership packages available. That would be hugely helpful. It allows me to reinvest and keep putting this content out there. If you're not able to do that, then please, the very best thing you can do is please watch these videos, leave a nice comment and share with a friend. I've been Ben Veal. This has been Wrestling Life, bringing you real talk from real talent. Till next time, see you soon. Be good to each other. Bye.